Everyone, once again, for those who've joined us now, welcome back. Um, we'd like to begin the next session firstly by thanking some of our sponsors, starting with our theme partner WhatsApp, co-powered by Amazon Pay, spend management partner Encash, in association with Perfios, payments partner Cashfree Payments, and CEO's dinner partner HSBC. Banking APIs are becoming the gateway for digital transformation in financial services by providing seamless payment services to businesses. With banks looking to modernize their service delivery and diversifying their offerings, APIs have very much become the one technology everyone in the banking space is counting on. Let us hear a story in this fireside chat about spearheading payments and banking, a cash-free payment story, followed by a white paper launch with our revered speaker for this session, Mr. Akash Sinha, co-founder and CEO of Cashfree Payments, this will be he'll be in conversation or fireside chat with Mandar Kagade, founder and principal, Black Dot Public Policy Advisors. Let's welcome them with a round of applause, everyone. And over to you, Mandar.
Okay.
Is it working? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but across the thing. I think you'll have to switch it on.
No?
Yeah, I can hear you across, but not through the mic. I don't think they.
Should we ask?
Can we just check? Yeah.
It's working, right? You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the fireside chat without the fire with Akash Sinha, co-founder and CEO of Cashfree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to level set, and then jump right into the conversation. The Indian payments landscape, we are all insiders here. It's the story has been told and retold and echoed all over the world. We in August, UPI completed some 500 million plus transactions in volume, 1 trillion in value, and it's just taken off. NPCI's international arm also is integrating across our regional partners and global jurisdictions, and we are, I think, across France and UAE. I could be missing a few names there, but we know that, and part of that payments ecosystem and sort of as a important player of that ecosystem, we have Cashfree revolutionizing payments since 2015.
Yeah.
So we'll hear more about that story leading up to 2021 and to their unicorn status and what they have in store for us going forward in the next half an hour or so. So jumping right into it, Akash, why don't we talk about the initial years and walk us through the initial days a little bit, and what was that one prompt to you and your co-founder Riju to start off and found Cashfree? What was that initial trigger? And most of the time, there is this always a story, a personal story that an entrepreneur goes through, either through a family situation or in his personal life, and which prompts them to sort of start off. So can you walk us through that in those initial years?
Sure. I think first of all, it's nice sharing the stage with you again.
Thank you.
I think looking forward to it. So I think we started this company back in 2015, right? I think if you look at the period of 2013, 14, 15, we saw a very aggressive growth in like mobile penetration, and that was fueled by accessibility of data. So 4G, 3G was very ubiquitous, and you can access internet in a very stable way from across a lot of places from India, right? I mean, even like tier 2, tier 3. And that enabled a lot of offline businesses or like new entrepreneurs come to internet world to explore new channel to acquire customers, right? Earlier, they were just restricted to their local areas. They had to set up a shop, and they can only approach customers who are nearby to them. But this internet growth has given them hope, right? If I put my business on internet, then I should be able to reach to customers who are pan-India. And that started massive transformation in that period. And now with that transformation, it's given that all the businesses or a lot of businesses were coming to internet economy, the payment systems were not ready for that. The payment systems we had in India was primarily serving offline businesses. right? And there were very few online business use cases which were being handled, right? Which was very vanilla and more about accepting money from a customer, settling into the bank account in a slightly slower manner. Right? It was not that speed. So that is a larger transformation we saw in the ecosystem. Given that we are right in the Bangalore, we saw all the startup flurry happening up. And we're also working in e-commerce industry, me and my co-founder Riju. And we ourselves were facing a lot of problems ourselves. Right? I mean, we used to order on online e-commerce very frequently. And whenever the guy used to come, we had to give them cash because COD was pretty prominent. And if you don't trust the merchant, you will go for COD. And we used to think, why can't I pay digitally when the guy is at my doorstep delivering my product? So that was a personal problem for us. And then we looked into other markets. Right? We looked at that there are like gig economy companies coming up. And they're paying their workers every 15 days, every month because they cannot make it faster. And even paying every 15, 30 days, it was not very seamless. It was not very automated. And things used to take 2 or 3 days just to get the payments processed. Right? Imagine you are you are a cab hailing company and you have 1 lakh drivers. And if you take 3 days to pay them salaries, right, there will be a lot of panic on the ground. So how do you handle these kind of issues which are coming up, which are very new to the ecosystem and no one knew how to solve it? So that's where we thought, I mean, this is going to continue to change. Online businesses will become a default mode to start business in India because real estate is getting difficult and online gives you very wider reach. And by combining these two, we thought we have to build a platform which can not just handle one specific payment problem, we should be capable to handle all the payment problems that online businesses are facing or will face in the future. So that was the blueprint, and that's how we were different like 7 years back. Right? We had payment companies doing great job, but they're just focusing on one problem. But our thought was our internet company should just be able to come to one platform, one portal, and they should get solution for all the problems they are facing so that they can spend more time on the core product, more time on like customer acquisition, more time branding, and less time on payment plumbing.
Understood. And then what led you to, so these are the initial days where you're basically solving for payouts, solving for, cash on delivery and the like, which immense friction. There is a social cost to cash that all of us are, very aware of. That is the, really the structural battle for all of us in fintech is really the, cash, and not to reduce its role. It has a role, but it also has a cost, and so there are these trade-offs, and we try to minimize those trade-offs. So, what led you into the crowded market, if I may? It's a utility, right? Payments is always a utility. So, I'm just sort of moving on from that to the next phase, if I may call it that, to the crowded payment space, and how, as a corollary to that question, what is that USP? What is your right to win? In what would be, for any investor, a utility market?
See, I mean, I'd not say utility. If I go back to the period 2013, 14 or 15, companies were solving very few problems of businesses, right? And we figured out I can do more, payment companies can do more. And that's where we started looking at all the other, say imagine you are a travel company and today you have like 30% cancellation on a daily basis, right? So instead of debiting customers' account whenever they're transacting, you can simply block money in their account. And if they cancel, just release the block. So that way, refund could be instant rather than making them wait for 7 to 10 days. And 7 to 10 days is a very long period for anyone to wait, right? And a lot of customers used to jokingly say, right, when I am paying you, you debit money instantly. And when you have to give me money back, you take 10 days. And that didn't look didn't look fair to anyone. So those were the specific problems we went after. Then we had problems of marketplaces. A lot of marketplaces have, say, 50,000 sellers on the platform. It was difficult for them to disperse commission to the sellers on time and in a very accurate way. And they used to make mistakes because things were very Excel driven. It was very manually driven. You'll have 10 to 15 accountants sitting in an office and processing the commission payout. So we looked at very, very specific problems about larger industry, like marketplaces, travel, education, fintech. These are very large industry we looked at. And we have been able to make solution more personalized, right? If you as an e-commerce company come to Cashfree, I am able to solve 10 problems for you. But if you go to someone else, they'll only solve 2 problems for you. And best part is, see, everyone was aware of the problem, right? What was in the market. It was not a knowledge gap. Just that it was getting difficult for legacy companies to be flexible, be nimble, and build solution faster the way market was changing. And market did change very fast. Right? Today, we take a lot of things for granted, right? I mean, you go to any random shop, you pay using UPI. You go to any website, you can comfortably pay using card, and success rate is pretty high. But back then, payment failure was a big issue, right? I mean, you always used to pray my payment should go through. I mean, it used to fail a lot. So a lot of things have been done. Second thing, if you look at internet economy in the world, right? That time scale was less. You take example any large company, and they used to process max like 50,000, 80,000 payments per day digitally. Today, those companies process more than 10 to 15 lakh transactions per day. And if you don't build a system to handle such a scale, then these guys can never scale the online business. So these were the two things we did differently, right? Solve for scale and solve for more, solving more problems for the businesses. And that's how we become more relevant in this industry compared to, legacy vendors.
This is just out of my own my own curiosity. But is there any salient sort of incident that you recall from back in the day when there was that pushback from the industry and incumbents, and when you went to say took your proposition to either the bank partners or to the enterprise players that you wanted to sell the product to? Is there any what were you expecting? Did they receive you enthusiastically, or was it like there was skepticism in the air, especially among incumbents? You might think that there is a fair bit of skepticism because of the Clayton Christensen problem, right? I mean, people don't want to upgrade because their own skills are locked in, and any disruption may basically risk it. So, any incident that you recall specifically?
See, there are few. I think you are right? A lot of companies had the process set and they had people to do it. Yeah. And we are essentially telling them, you use my system, you have to depend on people less. So again, not everyone took it in the right way. Right? We had companies who were modernizing their stack, and they understood this is very helpful for me in the future, and they were ready to accept it. And few companies came to us after a few years, after 2 to 3 years, when they understood this is the right way to do it. And it's not always about saving the cost. Right? It's also about making things more reliable. And second is keeping your stakeholders happy and delighted. And for that, you cannot do things manually, right? I mean, you cannot keep on adding people, because when you add a people, you have to train them, skill them. And they can make mistakes. It's human nature, right? But if you move to system can work 24/7, and system will not make a mistake unless there is a very proven, but system will not make a mistake. So we were able to convince, and surprisingly, there were companies that we met early that days. They revamped their system to make use of our automated payouts and automated payments, right? Because they understood it. They added a lot of automated fraud checks, maker checker, and then they started integrating. We had to wait for 1 year for one company to get them adapted, and then started using it. And they were one of the very early customers back in, I think, 2017-18. And they're still one of the largest customers of Cashfree, and that's a very good success story in the market.
Wow, nice. Just to put things in numbers, once they pass that hump, it's 150,000 merchants now and 40 billion plus payments annually. That's
now we're close to around 55 billion annually. I see. And we process almost 100 million transactions on a monthly basis.
I see.
And this year has been good. We have been growing almost 15-20% month over month.
I see.
But I believe the scope is much bigger. The way, UPI already does 6 billion transactions monthly on P2P, P2M combined. And India is a country of scale, right? And all the large businesses will move to online world. And you must have seen, right? You must have seen a lot of legacy FMCGs are also coming with a D2C proposition. A lot of big business houses are trying to capitalize the internet growth and reach to customers in a more personalized and direct way. So all this behavioral change in the business world and consumer world will create a big demand for a strong payments ecosystem. And that is what we are striving to build and be ready for the future.
Correct. So moving on to the next phase of payments, so to speak, right? We moved on from those initial rudimentary, if I may call, use cases to more sophisticated use cases where we built platforms on top of banks. Correct. And offered value-added services.
Correct. I think that has been starting for us, right? I think good part is when we started our journey, we see a lot of support from the industry, regulator, and all. UPI came around 2017-18. 16-17, right? Demonetization happened, and then banks are also opening up their APIs. Right, they are also willing to reduce the cost, make things more uniform, more correct. So these really helped us build solution on top of it much faster, and that's why I think fintech ecosystem can grow. Right, you'll have to start with private APIs that you can hand over for a certain contract. These private APIs come to some kind of infrastructure platform, and then we can customize and personalize it for the end use of the market. Because a lot of things are very generic, right? If you go to any bank, ask for API, it's very generic. But end businesses, a lot of them cannot spend time in customizing them for their need. And that's where fintech has been able to do the work, right? We have been able to customize because need of, say, insurance industry is different from education industry, is different from e-commerce industry, and same for any, say, blending industry.
Right. So before moving to, card issue as a service specifically, the banking as a service, can you walk us through some use cases there where you basically, value added? I can imagine payroll being one, right? For for a small enterprise hiring, say, 20-25 people, it becomes a big issue. There could be tax management, could be another that you can basically stitch it up on your own platform and give it as part of that package. What other use cases you basically have powered through what I might call banking as a service?
Sure. No, I'll take a small step back. I
Sure.
think I'll just want to focus on why banking as service was important for us.
Sure.
So we have been in the business of payment acquiring for a long time, right? And we have been able to serve customers who already were digitally ready to come and transact. But after a year, right, we saw we still have to, in terms of we are all of our are sharing the same pie, right? All the payment companies, but no one is trying to do something different to increase the pie, right? What kind of effort we can put to increase, digital method creation in the market, right? You go to say, and still, even if you look at UPI, right, there are around 40-45 crore people who are part of it, and remaining 55-60 crore adult are still not part of it, right? It's growing but slowly, right? So our thought was, how can we make these guys digitally ready so that they can come back and transact with the payment system we are building? And that is the thought of, given that today we are just accepting money for payment method, what can we do to create payment method in the market? What can we do to give more digitally ready payment method in the hands of the people? And that is where the idea of banking service got created, right? How can we use the power of all the B2C, B2B companies and through their network, given that they already have trust in the market, and through their network, we can come out with the ideas of embedded banking, and they can go and give this enriched services to their customers or to their partners, right? And that way, we can use the platform of all the larger consumer-facing, business-facing companies to offer fintech or banking-like service to their customers. So that was the initial idea. And coming back to the use case, it can work in many industries. Payroll is one example you took, right? If I'm buying a payroll automation, I can also embed embedded banking so that people can get wages directly from that software. Instead of getting a data from one system, go to my bank, upload a data and get processed it and keep on reconciling. That's very tedious. Second is marketplaces. As a large marketplace in India, you'll be onboarding 1 lakh, 2 lakh sellers on the platform. And a lot of times these sellers may not have know of how to use my banking channel in a good way. Right? Given that you already have built a lot of work for the seller system, right? You can also do the embedded banking experience to them. Sellers can come to their platform, they'll sign as a seller, and they can also create a bank account with you, right? So that they can see all their expenses on a single portal, they can look at their revenue, and they can also make sure that vendors get paid out from the same portal. So a lot of these experiences are going to happen in the industry, right? That is where I think largely world is moving more towards. And we started with, say, integrated payments. We are also going to move to integrated banking. And payments is the core area which will be getting solved through this banking as a service proliferation in the market.
Right. And what was the motivation? So I'm jumping into the final leg, the final leg, so to speak, of the conversation. And I'm curious, what was the motivation driving the card issuing as a service white paper and that kind of offering?
Right. Card as a payment method is still very relevant in the ecosystem, right? You don't have to think a lot. You don't have to be digitally ready to use it, right? You can even distribute to a farmer. They can go to a shop, use the card to buy their product. And that's the reason card penetration has been increasing in the market. I think other methods are also increasing. It means over a digital payment penetration growing, but card is also growing. And there we see there are a lot of use cases where we can enable card issuance. It can directly curb the usage of cash and make things more automated and more efficient. For example, like corporate payouts or corporate expense management. Right? A lot of employees, use their own cash, use their own money, get it reimbursed. But a lot of corporates can directly give credit card to the hands of the employees. They can have control. You can even have control that you can only use this card, say, for e-commerce purchase or also F&B purchase. Right? That way, you can have a very controlled expense management without making the life difficult for employees. Second use case is there are a lot of parents who want their kids to be digitally or financially ready, in their early age. Right? Today, you give them cash as a pocket money, right? Because these guys don't have bank account or proper card. Tomorrow, you can give them a card which is monitored by parents. They can also see where spends are being made. And at the same time, your child is getting financially ready to face the world, right? So that is second thing is once you go to university, a lot of expense in university is also very cash driven, right? So there you can also give campus card to their student, and a student can use that card to make their purchase inside the university. So there are ideas around closed loop system like universities, then open loop system, parents and child, corporate expenses, even a lender. A lot of lenders have to credit your personal bank account with the loan, right? But tomorrow they can just give loan to your card and they can track where you are spending, how you are spending, and using that data, they can give you more credit in the future if you are being disciplined in your expenditure.
Right. So there is, if I may summarize, a broader structural piece that you're solving for is financial literacy, financial empowerment at an early age, right? So let's say the teenage use case that basically the card will be used at the college level or the campus level in a closed loop environment, at the canteen, at the local gift shop and the like. And from that point forward, if it speaks to, say, the credit bureaus and the like, then you can build from, then basically that's the top of the funnel for leading them into the formal financial ecosystem.
That's correct. It's a generic service, and these are the examples I took.
Correct.
I think all the industries can use this platform, and they have to do very less legwork to go live with this product.
Correct. So just to give a sense of the legwork that they would otherwise might want to do, absent card issuing as a service kind of offering. Akash, can you just walk us through the number of parties in the flow involved? Like, I went through the paper and it has a nice juxtaposition of the number of parties that you would otherwise, if I do a DIY card issuance, it's a massive complex system, and then on top of that there is a regulatory interface and a regulatory compliance overlay. So can you walk us through that a little bit to show the value added of this offering?
True, right? So today as a company, if I'm trying to build or give any kind of card offering to my customers, I have to get a processing partner. Then I have to find a partner who can run program on top of it. Because programs will be different for different use case, right? So program will be different for expense management. Then there will be different program for lending use case, right? And the third is more about being compliant with regulator, right? I have to get PCI DSS certification, right? I have to make sure tokenization is working in a good way. And fourth is building layer for the customers, right? Customers would want to see their balance. They want to change the PIN, right? So either you you partner with other vendors for all these things, or you build it in-house. And both the cases, increase the go-to-market to 4 to 6 months, right? And then you'll have the worry about card getting delivered, shipped, having your own co-branding, then also working with banking partners, credit bureau. Then you also have to buy fraud and risk management tool on your own, right? To make sure the card is not being exploited, right? And that's the reason we see this industry has been growing, but not growing fast enough, right? Today, if you look at credit card market, it's just 7 CR distribution, right? And a lot of banks,
75 million,
75 million.
Correct.
A lot of corporates are willing to offer co-branded credit card to increase loyalty for their customers. But life is difficult, right? I mean, they have to make it as a 9 to 12 months project just to work on it. And they keep on deprioritizing. But if you are a system, it can be done within 2 to 3 weeks. And you can go live in the market, test it out. And you can grow your loyalty. I mean, because your end aim is loyalty, right? You don't want to do the payment plugin.
Starbucks.
Exactly.
Starbucks did an amazing thing with their barcode-driven kind of thing, and it's working out very well.
True, and people say Starbucks is a bank who is selling coffee, right? I mean,
I know.
And then
That's true. I'll just tail off the conversation with their most recent cross-border offering, because I think they got some permission in the regulatory sandbox and to offer a cross-border product.
No, that's correct. I think there was one specific use case where we as a country ecosystem haven't innovated a lot. And that is more around capital transaction. Right? A lot of Indian consumers want to invest into capital markets outside of India. But the process has been tedious for a very long time, right? You have to keep on redoing the paperwork. It's not similar to, say, the process for investing NSE, BSE has been much different than process of investing, say, in NASDAQ.
Correct.
Right? And a lot of customers are discouraged to do it.
Correct.
And when RBI opened the sandbox program last year, right, we thought this is one problem, we can address. We proposed a solution during the sandbox, and it got accepted. And we got a final approval just 2 months back to RBI to roll it out, for a larger production use case.
So to the extent of LRS, I can buy, let's say, fractional shares of Amazon through this route. Yeah?
It depends on the broker you are using.
Sure.
That's a broker.
Sure. Fractional would be the broker thing, but I can buy shares of Amazon.
Exactly. You can buy shares of Amazon, Tesla, Google, right, sitting in India without going through tedious paperwork.
Sure.
It will be very seamless and easy.
Sure.
And that is what we're going to enable in the ecosystem.
Sure. So I'm awaiting its deployment at a scale.
It's almost there. I think
see.
just few weeks here and there.
Okay. I think we can move to the formal release of the white paper. And may I also remind the audience that the copies of the white paper will be available at Cashfree booth outside if you want to take a deep dive into it.
I think both 16 to 18. Both 16 to 18.
Yeah. So, should we get to the release?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mandar. Yeah, and to add, like this is a 40-pager white paper, and we have like packed in like regulatory aspect, business use case, and why this is important for business. So please spend like 10-15 minutes of yours. I'm sure it will benefit all of your businesses, all the partners, and helping you bring financial inclusion through your platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.